afternoon, evening, and morning, depending on where you're at. I wanted to take a minute. I just did a review of the Plantaris Squared the other day. I've got 3 pairs now. My Stonewash with the deep water prism came in. Somebody on the Oakley forum had asked, how does it compare to the standard Plantaris release? So I've got both in front of me here, and I have, I think, like 9 pairs of the Plantaris. So the big difference you'll notice, first off, obviously, so let's talk about the similarities. They come in the same box and case, which you saw, and if you own a pair of the Plantaris, you already see that. They all have the little bullet hardware, anodized hardware at the corners and so forth. They have the same lockjaw lens replacement capability. And then they all use the same arm stem combination here with the feet. Even though they look different, they are the same. What makes them different in terms of fit is I did one over top overlay, and I've got a picture of it on the Oakley forum. The base wrap of the Square to the Plantaris proper that came out a year and some change ago compared to what just came out, there's about a 3 to say 5 degree difference in terms of total wrap curvature for the base curve of the total frame. So when you're talking about which one's going to fit you better, the Square is not as aggressive. If you look, they're close, but the Square flattens out as you get to the edges. And so because it's not as high a wrap frame, you think, okay, well, I'm gonna get some light protrusion. And the way the Square handles that is with these perforated panels here on the side that fill in the gap where otherwise your standard Plantaris comes around a little bit further on the sides there. Let's see if I can hold them up both side by side and give you a comparative, one on top of the other. I'm not doing a very good job, but I'm trying my best here. The base Plantaris is obviously more aggressive. So, and how that impacts you from a fit standpoint is, out of the box, the Plantaris Square fit my head much more comfortably out of the box. I don't have to make any adjustments or tweaks to these frog leg feet, that hold them on. They sit right where I want them, and there's no additional pressure on the sides here where the stem comes in and flows around over to the ears, where there is some pressure, but it's not as I will say it's not as intense as when I got the Plantaris. You can see already just comparing the feet. For me, I had to take and widen out the feet a little bit for more comfort, which is good. They are adjustable, so if you really would prefer the oval or the Romeo styled, because they are extremely sharp looking sunglasses, you can still get the Plantaris, especially now that they're starting to go on sale from a lot of places. You'll have a taller lens, so you see it covers my eyebrows more, sits the same area on my nose and everything like that, but the sides are a little bit tighter. And what I did was I took and I bent this out, which you can, it's pliable, you're not going to break it. I bent it out a little bit to where I wanted it on each side, got it where I wanted it, and then tried it on, and then I just tweaked on it. And then once I did that, I kind of sketched out on a piece of paper the base curve of my frame where I wanted it, and then I did the rest of them to match. So hopefully that'll help address that question of how does one compare to the other. Looking at it from a side perspective, straight on, you see a lot more of the lens here of the Plantaris, which is indicative of how much more wrap there is to the base Plantaris compared to the Square. Let's see if I get this word. You don't have as high amount of wrap to the lens here because it squares it up, and that gives you, even though they use the same arms, temple point, they're probably 2 mil. I would say I'd give you probably 2 millimeters. It's not very much, but it's just enough to where if the Plantaris was tight on you, the Plantaris Square should be a more comfortable fit out of the box. But again, you're trading height for width. The Plantaris Squared, while they both look sharp and I really just love this frame, you do see the tops of my eyebrows because these don't have the same lens height. As a result, they both still stand off from my eyelashes the same distance and everything based off the nose design and everything, but these aren't creating as much pressure on my side temples, which for some people that may give them a headache. So again, something to consider if you're going to order them online and you had to pick between one or the other. If you're concerned about it being a tight fit, I'd go with the Plantaris Squared if you can afford them or get the because they're just released, so you're not going to find them really on sale. Now, if you're an SI member, a teacher, those kind of things that they partner with, a first responder, Oakleys store did honor my discount for both these through SI and the rubies I got the other day, and the prism gray. So I had, I think, 25% off each frame, which was a really good, you know, it brought it down about $75 on each one. Instead of being like close to 300, they were right around 200 each, then you have your tax. So that made it more palatable for picking up a couple at a time. Where with the Plantaris, I waited for sales and I got them as they went on sale. I really like both frames, but in terms of fit and out of the box and everything, again, you see how much I had to widen out the arms there as a result of just how much, you know, it's honestly hard in a video for me to truly properly display just how much, you know, tighter the wrap is on this, you know, tribute to the Romeo that the Plantaris is. In the X-Metal era, where the Plantaris squared keeps a lot of those same vibes, but at the same time it trades for a little bit more comfort. So yeah, and as far as this colorway specifically, while I've got it out, the Stonewash matte transparent with a crystal clear blue on the bottom here. So you've got two points. You've got a crystal clear blue, the Deepwater Prism lens, and then the matte Stonewash clear frame here. Love this combination way more than the Stonewash that came out for the regular Plantaris. This is sharp. Can't wait to wear these out in the sun. Just opened them up tonight when I got home from travel. Give them a 10 out of 10 on the updates. As far as what Oakley's done for us with this particular frame, you know, originally I think it was probably planned to be limited edition promo type thing. And they saw the demand, you know, that's been out there for the X metals. They've been releasing those in limited waves, but they also saw the demand for, you know, a O-Matter version of them, if you will. And the support's been great. And as a result, for the Plantaris squared out of the box or out of the gate for release, we got 8 options as compared to Plantaris with 4. We got 7 lens color combinations as compared to 4. So we got almost a 50%, we got a 50% increase in possible colorways right out of the gate. And from lens option perspectives, we got about a 40% increase. You know, we had only gray, tungsten, and brown gradient right out of the gate for Plantaris. Well, with the squared, they get and Deepwater Prism. So we had 4 options right initially if you didn't buy one of the collaborations or like the special releases. Then we get to the Plantaris squared, and they come out with 7 different colorways. So you've got 24 Prism 24K, good, that gold, beautiful. You've got the Deepwater Prism again. You've got the brown gradient, same as what they had in Plantaris. You have the black. They didn't have that initially. They only preserved that for some of the collaborations, and then later you could get it. We have the Prism Ruby behind me here. That wasn't originally in there either. And then I feel like I'm missing one, but the point is they definitely increased the customizations or the, you know, the mixes that you've got, which when you look at the frame combinations, the uppers and lowers and the arms and the hardware and everything, you can tell they've got a plan for these in custom at some point. Now, I don't know if they'll act on it. I'm selfishly hoping they will, and I've talked about that before because it's a great frame for customization when you consider all the parts that there are to it, between the rear legs, the side arms, the uppers, the lowers, and then the lens, and then the hardware, the little anodized bullets. You've got so many pieces on this thing that you could mix and match to make some really cool, unique looking one-offs. So I hope they pull the trigger on that, just like they did with, like they have with the Plantaris. I hope eventually we get to see one or both into the Oakley customization program. But back to comparing them. So again, if you're not sure which one you want, they use the same arms and everything. The Plantaris is taller, the square is wider, but narrower in terms of lens height. So, and a little bit tighter wrap compared to a slightly, what I would say is probably a more universal fit. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Enjoy your day. Hope that helps you if you're kind of on the fence of which way to go.